Entering the atmosphere in T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast from OmegaMetroid.com. My name is Andy Spiteri, reunited with the whole band. Dakota, Lasky, doing Animal Crossing. How we doing, guys? Dak, how you been?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Yeah, just busy with the end of the year. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Just trying to wrap up and rush to get things done before the holidays. So, but yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on the show. Since then, just a couple things that have at least been, in my world. I recently saw the New York Philharmonic Orchestra perform in the city. They did The Planets, which is like this phenomenal orchestral suite, which I'm sure, Doom, you've heard of it. If you haven't, it's very influential. Like, it influenced like Star Wars and I would say pretty much every like major sci-fi IP for the past few decades. So really phenomenal. That was great. Jets won yesterday, which was awesome. Happy to see that. Saw that in person.
What's going on with what's his face? Is he coming back? Or he's toast?
Who, Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
I mean, unless they give him the bionic ACL or bionic Achilles heel or something, like I don't know if we're gonna see him, but I think he's like a coach or sideline guy or something at the moment. But yeah, I would be very surprised to see him. Okay. And then I finished a script recently, which was really cool, and I'm also really hooked on Fortnite Rocket Racing, which they released I think on Friday. And I was like, you know what? Let's check it out. They put that out. They put out it's Lego Minecraft, but Lego Fortnite. And I've been playing a bunch of Fortnite recently, so I was like, let me check these out. And I'm hooked. I think I'm in like the top 200 in Rocket Racing right now. Like I'm in like Diamond 1. Like I've been cruising.
So Doom and I should be asking for your autograph here pretty quick, is what you're saying.
I think you should. I think, and if y'all, I mean, it's free. Jump on. It's a little janky, but it's fun. And I highly recommend it. So that's what I've been up to, and here I am.
I'm glad you brought up Fortnite because we're talking about the Game Awards later, and I want to talk about Fortnite. But no, what's going on with you, Doom?
Pretty good. I actually started playing Mario RPG today. My very first turn-based JRPG, nice. And it's pretty fun. I'm really enjoying it so far. So
can I recommend you a couple games to play after, or what are we talking about here?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Send them in my inbox, or even tell them to the audience right now.
Well, I mean, obviously recency bias, but Sea of Stars. But I mean, there's a whole who's who of classic JRPGs for you now to dive into, Doom. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna have fun checking it out. But yeah, obviously got to finish Mario RPG first. Got to finish my 2023 backlog first. But yeah, we're 4 of the 7 of the Legend of the Seven Stars so far, and nice. Yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Nice. Very happy to hear that you are enjoying that. I thought you would. So yeah, I'm excited. We got the whole band back together. It's been a little bit, but we're having the kind of show today that I really like. It's just kind of a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little sampling of a bunch of different things. So of course we had the Game Awards back on Thursday, which it was a Game Awards show. We'll talk about that when we get there. It was exactly, those shows are what they are, and I think I've come to kind of just accept that a little bit. So I thought that this one was like okay, and because it was okay, that probably makes it one of the better Game Awards shows that I've ever seen. We got a few questions that we want to get to, but I think that where we should start, gentlemen, is with Metroid Prime 4. And there's been a little bit of conversation about Metroid Prime 4 recently in the news and in the gaming circles here, because I'll just read verbatim here, and then we can weigh in with our opinions and see exactly what we think. But there is, in Doom, you can correct me here, Papa Genos. Is that like a leaker? He's like a leaker?
Kind of, not really. So first off, I love Papagenos, big Papagenos fan, but he's not really much of a leaker. He's mostly just kind of like kind of a speculator. He'll like take a look at like what's happening in the rumorville and just kind of weigh in on his own thoughts, kind of like what we do basically. But he
Right.
does it more. His primary thing is Smash, and then he kind of extrapolated it to like general Nintendo as well, and that's kind of his thing. The one exception when it comes to leaks, at least that I'm aware of, is Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 2. That's like the one game that I'm aware of that he actually like made a public leak for, at least on his YouTube channel. And then that kind of transitions into what we're about to talk about today.
I'm taking a look at this Reddit account too, and for what it's worth, I don't know if this is true. I'm not involved in this world, not my jam at all. But I guess that Papagenos is also the person that said that Metroid Prime Remastered would be shadow dropped in the February Direct. So got a little bit of cachet if that is indeed the truth. But so what we're talking about here, and if you were listening to this podcast, you probably heard it, but bear with me, I'm going to read it. Papagino said Metroid Prime 4 has been done for a while and is basically waiting right now for cutscenes to get finished and polished up. So this is a direct quote from his Discord. Quote, "The thing is, I've heard Prime 4 is basically done and has been for a while, but the cutscenes are apparently really bad, or were a few months ago, so that's what was delaying the game. I do believe Prime 4 will be a Switch title and not specifically made for the Switch 2, but maybe that's changed at this point, I haven't heard. Just the fact I know it's been basically in a finished state for a while, with the delay being related to needing to polish up the cutscenes, had me hopeful we could see it soon, but again, so far as I've heard, nothing about what Nintendo could bring to the Game Awards." So the gist of this is that the game is basically done. The cutscenes are what's holding it back. But the thing, and Dak, I want your opinion on this first, but the thing that jumped off the page to me is that it will be a Switch title, not specifically made for the Switch 2. When I read that the first time, I inferred that as it was only going to release on the Switch. Rereading that, I don't actually know that that's the inference. I'm not sure. Like my takeaway rereading that is like it was built, like developed as a Switch game, which I think makes sense, but it doesn't necessarily say that it's only going to be a Switch game. It could still be cross-platform. Is that kind of where you're falling on that wording?
Yeah, I mean it's not like the biggest thing that jumps out of me of the whole point, but what you're talking about specifically, I at least read it as like the game was made for the Switch. It'll probably be playable on the Switch too, but it's not really commenting on that. It's like it was developed as a Switch game first, which I mean makes sense because the game, as we know, has been in development for quite some time. So it's pretty likely that it started development on the current console. But
Yeah.
we also know it restarted. I mean, now it's been a few years, but I would say it's restarted around the time that if there is a Switch 2, it probably started to exist or was starting to take shape. So it would make sense that if the game got restarted, it might have gotten restarted as a Switch 2 game and not as a Switch game, because by 2019, I believe, is when we heard about Retro taking over.
Right.
By then, the Switch had already been old, it's been a few years at least since
Right.
they've been, released.
2019,
So,
I think, is when they restarted, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
so like that had been, 4 or 5 years since the Switch been released. So like to me, I'd be like, that would have to put it in their mind of like, okay, this game is, if it's getting restarted in 2019, maybe we should develop it for the Switch too. But yeah, I took it as it was apparently being developed as a Switch game, and then whether or not it's playable on Switch 2 with backwards compatibility, I don't know, but I don't think it was making like a passing
Right.
comment on that.
Well, the thing, what it stood out to me, that line stood out to me, is because maybe I'm just like Morpheus and I believe that Neo is the one like so badly here, but like in my mind, there's no possible way that Metroid Prime 4 is just released on the Switch and not at the very least a dual release title with the new Switch 2. Like I can't believe that. I don't think it's true. I can't believe that it's true. I can't believe Nintendo would do that. So I'm not going to believe it. So if that was the case when I read this the first time, that threw the entire argument, like the entire validity and legitimacy of this argument out of the window for me. Because I was like, there's no way this is true because that one thing is not true. Because there's no way that Nintendo would do that, right? But rereading this, I can maybe soften that a little bit because, yeah, as you said, rereading it sounds like it was developed as a baseline Switch title that could still potentially be cross-platform, which I could believe. I would be a little bit disappointed, to be honest, if that was the case. But I mean, I could also see that. I mean, I think
Well, that's the thing is that like to me, I feel like I'm assuming or I'm guessing that the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible. So in that regard, like every Switch game is made for the Switch 2, like technically. So
Yeah,
that's how I'm seeing it. Is like you make it for the Switch, but it's playable on the Switch 2. I would be disappointed because I would want Metroid Prime 4 to have been made
for the
like
Switch too.
or take advantage of what makes the Switch 2 what it is and not just be like an upres or something. Doom, go ahead.
I completely agree with you.
I was gonna say, obviously, none of us know what's going on. That being said, I do personally believe that Metroid Prime 4 will take advantage of the Switch 2. The question is whether or not it'll be a Switch 2 exclusive or not. I personally think it will be a cross-gen title, but at the end of the day, I personally don't think that's going to be a huge difference. I think regardless, Prime 4 on the Switch 2 is still
It's
going
the
to
way to
be a
go.
noticeable improvement.
Yeah.
It's going to be if Prime 4 blew our minds, Prime 4 is going to look absolutely freaking insane, regardless whether it's cross-gen or Switch 2 exclusive. And I think it's really going to surprise us in the directions it goes. But that's for a whole other podcast.
I do want to say though, real quick, I think it's interesting. At least was interesting to me was the wording of how it's basically in a finished state, which reminded me of the rumors from Metroid Prime Remastered. I mean, I feel like we heard a bunch of times how the game was basically finished and waiting to be released, and then it was. But there really was no proof of that. I mean, that could have very well been the case, but I think it's interesting that once again we have a Metroid game. We have no proof of it being in a finished state but ready to go. But yet again, we have another Metroid game, another Metroid Prime game that's apparently ready to go, ready to be released, and cutscenes need to be fixed. In the grand scheme of things, that's negligible compared to the whole development process, even though it's certainly a very important part of it. So I just thought that was interesting. Like, I wonder if is this really happening? Like, is this really like a finished state just waiting to be released kind of thing? Is like what is with Nintendo just holding Metroid Prime games? Like,
I'm glad you brought that up because
that's what stuck out to me. Not what you pointed out, but
I feel like and we've gotten into this before, specifically you and I, Doom, about leakers and like I feel like there's like specific to Nintendo, because there are certainly some credible leakers out there with sources at Sony, sources at Microsoft, but like if you're a Nintendo leaker, I just don't think you really know anything. I think you're probably very good at hypothesizing and making educated guesses that seem smart and likely, which is, you know, what we do here as well. But like I don't think that there's any real legitimate Nintendo leakers out there. I don't know if you guys saw a couple months ago, John Cartwright posted a video where he just basically made up an account that said it was a leaker account, and then all this press.
Waddle Dee knows. I remember that.
Exactly.
It was great.
And it showed exactly how make believe these leaker accounts are. So I don't want to say that about Papagenos because I don't know anything, but I do think that is a little bit suspicious, and it's an easy thing to kind of hide behind and say like, well, it's finished at any time. I don't know why they're not releasing it, right? Like they could show it here, but they didn't. They could show it. You know what I mean? It's just like it feels like we've seen that forever and ever. But back to the point.
Actually, I do want to extrapolate. Yeah, well, I do want to extrapolate that because I actually think Papagenos would agree with that, because one of the big thing that stood out to me was that all of this originated on his Discord server, because I am subscribed to Papagenos, and so normally when something, you know, if he has something like major to say, it's usually like him speculating on someone else's stuff. Very rarely something he says, but usually like at the very least I'll see a Twitter post for him, if not like a whole YouTube video breaking it down. But even as of we're recording, like this is a few days old, and this he still hasn't posted anything. And to me, at least what that tells me is that this information. So basically, the whole reason this came up is because someone in his Discord specifically asked him whether if he heard anything about Prime 4, and this was his response.
Right.
And to me, this is him saying, hey, I am not necessarily confident in this information. This is just what I heard, but I don't know whether or not this is true or not. I'm not comfortable with making a video on this because I don't have enough, I haven't been able to verify this myself.
Let me clarify that too, because I agree. He went out. There's a lot of people. I personally know some people that would have been like, Metroid Prime 4 details confirmed. Like, this is 100% fact. And like, those accounts are just garbage. I hate that kind of stuff. Papagenos did say like, listen, this is what I've heard. Things could change. Not really sure. So I do want to make sure I mention that. But I think that I think that going back to the discussion of Switch versus Switch 2, I of course would have preferred to see Metroid Prime 4 developed for the Switch 2 and maybe release like a, I don't know, de-resed or whatever version for the Switch. That would have been my ideal world, because I think like it is going to release on both. I think it probably has to at this point. That's what I would have hoped for. I guess if it was originally developed for the Switch and it comes out looking like Metroid Prime Remastered, like there are certainly worse things. But I also kind of feel like we've waited so long for this. Like, it's probably going to be, if not a launch title, out relatively soon for the Switch too. I would have really just like, made this game a showcase for my next console. But I guess that's hard to say when we still don't know anything about the next console either.
Yeah,
I'm fairly confident Prime 4 is going to look substantially better than Prime Remastered. I'm feeling pretty confident, regardless.
I'm not super confident in that.
Yeah,
because think about it. I mean, Metroid Prime Remastered is most likely going to be a much smaller game than Prime 4. It's an older game, so they really just had to like touch up less complex geometry and textures and whatnot. Like Metroid Prime 4 is going to be, I'm assuming, a much larger game, going to have many more assets, going to be requiring a lot more space on your console. So I don't know, like for it to look that good and all of that as Metroid Prime Remastered and be on the same console and not like, I think it would have to be on Switch 2 in order to look as good and be a huge upgrade in terms of size and gameplay and all that. So I'm not as confident. I mean, if it looks as good as will it look substantially better? Not as confident. Will it look as good as Metroid Prime Remastered? I hope so. I would say that's at least the minimum we get for like Metroid Prime 4 if it's going to be a big game. Yeah. But like to say it's going to look substantially better, I'm definitely not confident in that.
It's Retro Studios. If there's anyone that has the sauce, it's them, and I think they've proven throughout the years that they can really surprise. I mean, hell, Metroid Prime Remastered. I don't think any of us expected Metroid Prime Remastered to look as incredible as it does right now. I think Prime 4 is really going to surprise us.
That's fair. I mean, Metroid Prime Remastered definitely pushes the boundary to the Switch, but it's also a very late games cycle Switch game. Like they took a ton, like they needed like a lot of time has passed for people to get to understand what a Switch game could look like. And not for nothing, but Metroid Prime Remastered looks great, but it looks great like for a Switch game. It still looks really good, but I don't know. There's only so much you can do with Nintendo hardware. Is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Which your point is well made.
I do think Prime. Yeah.
I
think Prime 4 is going to take advantage of Switch 2 regardless. That's my. Anyways, go on, Andy.
I hope so.
I would say this: the bare minimum for Metroid Prime 4 is going to be that it looks and runs as smooth as Metroid Prime Remastered. I think we could all agree that is the bare minimum. I mean, if it doesn't, that's a little bit disappointing. A lot of it disappointing. But I think that they are going to have to find a way to make it better than Metroid Prime Remastered, even if it started development maybe even before that game. And they, depending on what the Switch 2 is, make it so that, I don't know, this game looks even better somehow on that. Kind of like how you see the PS5, PS4 releases of different titles and there's noticeable improvements. But it is hard to say without seeing and knowing what the heck the Switch 2 actually is, what exactly Metroid Prime 4 could really be taking advantage of. And that my proclamation that we were going to find out a little bit about the Switch 2 before the end of this year is it's not looking so good right now.
I do have to say, because I feel like a lot of us are expecting to finally see Prime 4, along when the Switch 2 is revealed. And I have to imagine, if they are saving that for a Switch 2 revealed, I have to imagine that it's going to take like substantial, or maybe if not substantial, at least noticeable advantage of that Switch 2 hardware. I have to imagine it's going to be like a showcase title.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I kind of like stuff like this. Is like, man, I can't imagine that like they would save it for when the Switch 2 releases, but then not have it be something that takes full advantage of what the Switch 2 is. That just wouldn't make sense. But I don't know. Nintendo has done wild stuff before.
They've done weird things, but like if you're exactly right, like look at this brand new Switch 2 title that is going to be, we're thinking it's probably going to be this pioneer showing what the Switch 2 could do. And it looks like Metroid Prime Remastered, which released for the Nintendo Switch in February of 2023, right? Like that would be a little bit disappointing, but I guess we'll we'll have to wait and see.
I
Yeah.
I mean, if there is anything to take from this, if it is true, I'm excited that they are trying to improve the cutscenes. Like I'm happy to hear that there's some considerable work being put into the presentation and the cinematics and the cutscenes and whatnot of the game. So that is hopeful for me. I hope if there is a reality in which the game could have shipped with some less than stellar cutscenes and they delayed it in order to get better ones, that for me, I'm okay with that delay because
Yeah.
again, we don't even know if there even is an official release date. But especially from coming from playing Metroid Prime 3 recently, when we revisited that not too long ago, like yeah, there are some longer cutscenes compared to the previous games, but I was in it. Like I was in it for the story. I was immersed. I was excited for the ride. I was in it for the long haul. So when it's done right, it really does add a lot, and it really makes it feel like a really big experience and gets you locked in. And I love having that feeling. So I'm excited for that. A lot of the job postings that we've seen over the past couple of years kind of point to them really putting some more emphasis on the actual presentation of Metroid Prime. And again, that all going back to what we were just saying, really just makes it feel like to me like they're trying to put their all into this game, which they should be. Like, why bring back Metroid Prime if you're not going to do it all the way? If you're not going to full ass it, instead of half-assing it, right? So in that regard, I would have to imagine they're doing everything they can to make this the best kind of game and the best kind of console. So I hope that's all panning out for it to be as exciting as we're hoping it to be. But yeah, this ends up being not too much. Obviously, we didn't see anything at the Game Awards. We went a whole year without hearing anything about Metroid Prime 4. So I mean, we're going to be talking about Metroid Prime 4 a lot coming up soon because I feel like now we're all antsy. Like, all right, what's going on here? We need an update. So this was another month of no updates, but I think we all reasonably understood that we weren't going to be seeing any Prime 4. It was kind of very unlikely to see at the Game Awards, but it would have been nice.
I was pretty confident that we wouldn't see a single Nintendo thing shown at the Game Awards, and I was right. That's just not the place for like Nintendo stuff.
I could have seen DLC for like Zelda or Mario announced at the Game Awards. I could have seen that.
Well, like they said that they weren't doing DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, so I already knew that. But then, I mean, like, so let's pivot
Mario
over to
Wonder.
the Game Awards after this too.
Yeah.
So I have had the obligation to watch the last several years of the Game Awards since 2016 for Zelda Dungeon. And obviously this was a big year for Zelda at the Game Awards, even though I was pretty confident that it was not going to take home, the top award, which it didn't. And that it's if you're a Nintendo fan watching the Game Awards for Nintendo stuff, like, don't even bother because it's really not for you. That's the type of games shown there, the style of games. Those are, I mean, they're just not Nintendo games. So that being said, I actually thought that the Game Awards this year were better than they have been in previous years, but I think that we should acknowledge something right away. I wasn't expecting him to, but still, our man Jeff Keighley did not have the gumption to get up there and call out essentially all the companies, Bungie, all these other companies that laid off a bunch of people. He was never going to do that. I didn't expect him to. It would have been kind of nice though, and I think it would have given a lot of credibility and legitimacy to him and his award show. Which, I mean, if we're being honest, like that's what this show lacks is legitimacy. So it was never going to happen, and I knew it wasn't. But still, I was just kind of like, dang, like I wish he could have said something. Because I mean, like he said something against Konami. I don't know. I knew it wasn't going to happen, but it's still a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, the difference there, though, was obviously that was his best friend Hideo Kojima, and that's
of course
that's the differing factor.
That,
and,
I think,
and not to diminish that because like that was a great thing that he did back then, but like it's a different and like while I am frustrated at the same time, I do understand that like part of it is his hands are tied to an extent because who are a lot of the sponsors that are sponsoring this whole thing. It's a lot of pretty much all of those companies that he would have to call out. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Activision alone probably wasn't happy hearing Christopher Judge's comment there, even though it was a total nothing comment. I'm sure that alone they're probably talking with Jeff about that right now. And so like
I completely understand.
Every word he says is like being under a microscope.
Yeah, I get it. I think he could have said something.
Agreed. I absolutely agreed. I am not defending him. I am just I
I think we all
I'm
understand.
empathizing
It's
it
just
with, but
kind
I'm
of
not
just
agreeing
like,
with it. Yes.
yeah. So I just wanted to acknowledge that,
Well-
because I think if we don't, that's kind of lame on our parts as well. But for what it is, I mean,
What
yes, Doom.
I was
Go
just gonna
ahead.
say, what is less excusable though is like the and again I get why they did it again because of what happened with Christopher Judge last year, but just the quickness that they were just getting everybody off the stage, like 30 seconds, and it's just like, get out of here, go, get off, stop talking. And there were a few moments in particular where it was just, it looked really bad. Like there was, I can't remember the Baldur's Gate 3 developer, but they were like honoring some of the devs that passed away during development, and literally like mid-speech, they're like already playing the music and doing the whole prompter, and it was just wasn't a great look in general for that.
Didn't they give Kojima like 30 minutes?
He had a lot of
Yeah,
he
there
had a
was
lot
like
of
the
time.
whole
There was
So
Gonzo the Muppet that had a lot of time.
Oh my god! All right, I don't. Can I just say something? Who's the guy who made the Muppets? What's his name?
I don't know, man.
Jim Henson.
Jim Henson. Hey, huge respect to the guy. Creative mind, awesome. I don't think the Muppets are funny. I don't think the Muppets
agreed.
are funny.
I said that on the
don't need to
Zelda
see
cast.
the
I'm like, I
Muppets.
don't dig the Muppets, man. Like, I don't get
Kermit,
it.
fine.
Miss
Kermit
Piggy's
is
okay.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, but Kermit is cool. Yeah.
Wait a second.
Or
Oscar the
Bert and
Grouch
Ernie,
is not
wait.
a Muppet, right? He's
No,
a
those
Sesame
are
Street
Sesame
guy.
Street. Is Bert and Ernie Sesame Street?
Bert and Ernie Sesame Street too, right?
Either way, I just don't. I feel like I don't find the Muppets funny, and like I feel, are they on the show every year? What is up with that?
They
like,
have
they're
been
not
for the
fun-
last couple of years.
They're not funny.
No.
It's not funny, and I don't get what the appeal is. I skip all those episodes on Defunctland, so I don't know. But
like,
yeah.
unfortunately, like the skits at the Game Awards usually don't hit at all. Like they had that duck or the goose or whatever a couple of years ago, which is lame. But like to your point, Doom, and to like the whole thing, like I was saying earlier, like I think, listen, like the show is what it is. It's not a legitimate award. I mean, it's an award show, but like when you have your host standing up there rattling off 5 categories in a row really quickly, like you're not a legitimate award show, and you have legitimacy problems. Like this is not the equivalent to the Oscars. And you can say whatever you will about the Academy Awards. They can be a little bit dry. They can be a little bit long. But people get honored for their work there, and you don't get that at the Game Awards. And I understand why, right? Like, I understand why that is. Let me back that up. Certain people have opportunities to get honored, but like Sea of Stars, you guys have heard me talk about it all year long. I love that game. That won Best Independent Game. You think anybody that developed that game got to go up and say a single word? No, because it's not a legitimate award show. It's Jeff Keighley rattling off
best
awards.
best soundtrack. It was one of the quick categories.
Exactly.
The freaking VTuber got more screen time than any of the composers that were nominated this year for best score. Absolute insanity.
Well, that's my point. Like, it's just, like, it is what it is. I wish it was different. For what it is,
All award shows are like this, man. Like the Oscars, they all do the same thing. They all do the rush categories. They all do the dumb plugs and whatnot, and like 10-minute thing. Like the game. I mean, I agree. The Game Awards are what they are, but I don't think that they're like like the other award shows are just as bad. As I think to come into any award show to not to think.
Man.
You got to watch the other ones. Then,
I'll give you this.
They're not much better.
I haven't watched the Oscars in a long time, so I'm probably not in the best position to comment. But like that would be like watching the Oscars, and there's also like 1,000 movie trailers for upcoming movies, and like they're rattling off best cinematography, editing, supporting actress, and like score right in a row.
They do rattle off some of those categories though, but
Okay.
I agree. Like it's not as much of an ad, but ads also what make
of course
the show happen, and the Game Awards don't have 100
to be
years.
fair,
I mean, I'm also not trying to be a huge Game Awards defender. I'm not trying to say it's a bastion of authenticity. I'm just trying to say like let's be honest here. Like we kind of know what it is. It's the same thing every year. Like, let's not try to let's not try to hold it up to a standard that we know it's never going to reach.
Well,
like,
it
serves a function.
My point with this actually, with my big long diatribe there, is like knowing what it is. I actually thought that this was one of the better Game Awards. It might have been one of the best that I remember. Now, I missed like the first hour of it, so that probably helped. But
like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's one of the best ones. You'll watch a third of it.
I'll say this: Jeff Keighley.
It's so much better when it's shorter, right?
It's a lot better.
This man, Jeff Keighley, has balls, because not many people would have the audacity to sit there and force you to watch 3.5 hours of a Game Award show that's like 95% ads and other nonsense, and then run over the allotted time to get to the one award that people actually want to see. This man, you say what you will about him, but he is gumption.
As someone I was at the Game Awards last year for work, so it was hard to watch this one because I was at it last year, so that's always going to be my favorite Game Awards. And then this year I felt just very apathetic to like put it on. I can't even really give you a fair review of it because I skipped through it at 2 times speed, and I was like, oh, is this interesting? Blah, blah, blah. So I didn't really give it a fair shake. I didn't really want to put 3 hours into watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of over watching CG only trailers and seeing a lot of I'm over it. Like, show me gameplay, or don't show me anything. I understand why they happen, but it's not for me anymore. I have so many games to play that, like, in the past I would be way more accepting of like the CG only trailer. Like, give me the vibe, give me the story, and I'm okay with that. Nowadays it's like, show me the gameplay, or I'm skipping through. So that all said, I know the amount of work that goes into putting this show together. I know Jeff does a lot of it himself, so I will respect that it's not easy to put together, and certainly a lot easier to point out the flaws after the fact. So
he also seems just like a really like nice guy too.
Yeah,
for what it's worth.
So as much as it can certainly be flawed if you look at it, in many different valid ways. That's fine. But it's still a huge spectacle. It brings in a lot of eyeballs to various parts of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
That is really positive. So that all said, I skipped through the majority of it. I felt very apathetic. There were a few games that I thought might be interesting. Windblown looked pretty cool. I think there was like a Jurassic Park trailer that might be interesting. Exodus looks like it could be cool.
What was that game that I posted in the Discord?
I'm scrolling through my Discord because I feel like I was
that Metroidvania that you posted that looked really interesting.
Tales of Kinzara Zhao looks freaking awesome. First of all, the guy that came out to present that, I love this dude. He looked like Chadwick Boseman. First of all, it's a super handsome dude. He had that sick, like, I don't know what it was like, but his attire was very cool. And then he's showing this Metroidvania that looks like Black Panther, but like with colorful like dance combat. It looks so sick. That was probably my favorite game I saw all night.
Yeah, that was cool. What else was there? Oh, Matthew McConaughey. What was he there for? He was there. That was cool.
I skipped out on Matthew.
I can't even remember what he was trying to promote.
World of Goo 2.
Yeah.
World of Goo 2, very cool.
Dude, that was
awesome.
That was the first game I ever bought on the Wii. Like, I think it might have been my first digital game I ever bought.
WiiWare, wasn't it? On WiiWare?
Yeah.
Wow, World of Goo. That might have been the most exciting night for me. I was like, I know that. I know World of Goo. That was cool. Yeah, Jurassic Park Survive.
There was this cyberpunk looking game that I don't remember the name for, but it looked awesome. And it was just like your classic cinematic trailer, no gameplay. But I was like, okay, whatever. Cyberpunk is like a cheat code for me, where I'm just like, okay, I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge cyberpunk guy, so it doesn't really. Oh, another big pop-off moment for me, by the way, was when Jeff said unlock the Peter Griffin skins when he was talking about Fortnite. I was like, yes. Good. Tell him, Jeff.
He put that on the soundboard. Yes. Anyone that follows me on Twitter knows that I absolutely lost my damn mind when the words Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi came up during that massive Sega revival trailer. That is two series that I did not expect to utter in the year of our Lord 2023, and I just think that that's really incredible. And I cannot wait to see what's happening. It's really cool to finally see like tons of Sega IP, besides Sonic. We've had, Persona has been getting a big resurgence. Yakuza is now pretty big. And now they're starting to invest more in like all these, 90s IPs that, I grew up with too. And now I'm just like, yes, give me more of this. I love it.
I'm glad you like it. I can't sit here and lie to you guys and say that I'm a big Sega fan.
I'm not either. But I like Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio, so I was.
I played the hell out of Crazy Taxi in the arcade.
I thought
Crazy
it was
Taxi
okay.
is dope.
Yeah, I'm happy for the people that are happy for it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't
you know what?
something I like.
Sega did publish one of my favorite games ever, Skies of Arcadia, so I got to give them that. But Yeah, nothing else that I can think of really stuck out for. There's another game that had like a cool synthwave soundtrack, but like the problem is that there's so much stuff announced that it just blends together. And all those trailers, as you mentioned, Dak, they're all the same trailer. It's like a cinematic trailer that like doesn't really show gameplay, has someone narrating over it. So it's just like,
Yeah.
it's like, huh, what is what again? So you have to be like really special, I feel like, in order to stand out.
Moon Studios announced their new game, and I didn't even realize it at the Game
that's
Awards.
true.
Like,
No
that's how
Rest-
much
true.
it blended in.
No Rest for the Wicked, right? That looked, I think it was called that. That was on my list. That looked really cool.
Yeah.
I liked that. Exoborn was also cool. Yeah, there's like a little bit of, personally, I'm always going to be like, yeah, if it's sci-fi, even if it's like generic sci-fi, I'm like, yeah, I'll probably check it
Yeah,
out. Like,
yeah,
you know,
I
like
agree.
you always kind of swindle me into like stuff like Exodus and Exoborn. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll check it out, even though it was just CG. The finals also looks kind of fun too. I haven't checked that out, but people said that it was pretty decent. There was a trailer for that. I think it launched officially. So
Knowing me
give that
as
a
you
shot.
do, can you guys guess what game I was most excited about?
like I said, I skimmed
I
through
probably-
it, so I probably don't.
Yeah, I can't remember like any of the game
I can't remember
titles, so
most
that's
of the
like.
games. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
I'll give you a
Is it
hint.
that one?
Oh no, I'll give you a hint.
Is it the one where like?
No. There was no
I was gonna
gameplay
say, is it-
shown. There was no trailer shown. It's just an
Oh
announcement of the game.
wow! Oh, it's so obvious. So
Okay,
obvious. Is it besides the Hideo Kojima game?
It's the Hideo Kojima
Is
game.
it the?
I was gonna say it's a Kojima
Oh,
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a Kojima. Game. I was losing my. That was the only point of the show. Where
How
I was
did you
just like,
lose your mind at
yeah!
that? You didn't see anything.
No, I did see that. I came right
but
before.
you didn't. There was nothing to. They just showed.
I don't
your
care. I was
faces.
just like, dude, it's Hideo Kojima. Hell yeah! And then Jordan Peele came out, and I was like, oh yeah, let's go here.
All right, so
Love it.
Here, I'll give you a hot take, Andy.
I'm ready. Hit me. I'm ready to be heard.
It's not super hot take, but I thought that I did not really care for it. I think the both of them are great creators, overrated though, and I do not dude,
No.
come on, man. What have you done for me lately? What is Kojima? What have they put out that has been great?
Death
lately?
Stranding was awesome.
Death Stranding was not
I
awesome.
love Death Stranding.
Death
I
Stranding
will-
was not awesome. It was.
I will
boring.
defend Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele's been on fire lately. Nope was a ridiculously good movie.
So Get Out, fantastic. Us,
I love
a
Amazing.
good watch, but not something I was dying to watch again. Nope, a good watch, not something I'm dying to watch again. So he's kind of 1 for 3 for me.
I disagree. No,
I'm
Nope
not
was
saying
pretty...
he's bad. I think they're both great, but I think they're both overrated. And when they come out on stage to show me faces, I'm like, man, just the smell of your own farts, guys. Come on, show me a game.
Here's the thing: I don't think they're overrated, but I hate the worship culture, specifically around Kojima. Does that make sense?
Well, that's
I think
a
they're
separate thing, but I agree with that. I think like this, like to worship the ground that this guy, who by the way did not create these games with by himself, by the way, to worship the land he walks on is a little ridiculous. So I agree.
I am a member of the cult of Kojima, so I mean, I can't say I sit here and agree with anything you guys are saying, but like I don't know, man. It's just like every Kojima game, like Death Stranding, like I loved it. But I get why people don't like it, right? But like it's just like it's so bonkers, like it's so outrageous that I fell in love with it. And this new game just looks like it's going to be much the same. It looks kind of like a spiritual sequel to PT, actually, which is what it
How
looks
could
like.
you say that? You just saw people
I have
say you
no-
didn't see a game.
What is it? Andy,
It's
no,
like
hold
a
up,
game
Andy.
movie hybrid.
Andy,
Like it looks
tell me-
bonkers.
Andy, tell me what this game is about right now. What is this game about?
It's about screaming and play. But that's the thing. Like it doesn't matter. Like
No,
you
no,
look
no.
at-
You can't
you
tell
look
me
at
be
the
like
track
this looks
record.
like it
Okay.
doesn't look like anything. It doesn't show any
from
gameplay.
the very, very, very limited description that we got, and the very limited even the what the game is called. It's called OD. I inferred. So this is my own inference that it was probably going to be akin to maybe what PT would have ended up being. Do you guys think that's an outrageous inference to make?
I don't know how you could even really come to that. They didn't show us anything.
All right. Well, I'm just saying
I'm sure.
Yes, Doom.
All I'm gonna say is I'm sure it's gonna be a good game. I just really don't like this weird parasocial deified relationship that fans have with Kojima. It's weird and creepy. but I'm sure the game is going to be
Aside
fun. And I
from
like
that,
Kojima.
I'm,
He's a
I'm
great
a weird
creator.
and creepy guy, Doom. I'm sorry. I'm the cult of Kojima.
Yeah, look at it.
everything this
Oh,
guy
we know.
does-
Oh, we know. Don't worry.
This guy's in the dark basement
He
talking about.
came out of that
video
door, and I was just like, I had tears in my eyes. I was clapping.
Yeah,
I
I
was
don't. All I'm saying is like, well, their last releases were good, not amazing, IMO, and so therefore, like, look, when you want to show me a game with these faces, I'm down. I will give it a shot. I will watch the trailer, but and you might say, oh well, there's voices, there's other things happening, blah blah. I'm sure there's like a secret message encoded in the audio if I listened hard enough and listened to what the people are saying hard enough that I
You
would
gotta
get
play
this
it backwards
mind
at like
meld
3/4
from-
reverb.
Yeah, like something like
There
I just-
actually,
it's
there
going
actually
over
is
my
something
head.
online that there is a secret code with, like referencing
Yes.
PC, which
I just because that's the type of thing this is. It's so like it's pretentious. It's like it can't give me a video game. I've just read an article. It's supposed to be more than a game. Shut up. Just give me the game, man. Like maybe I'm being a hater,
Please,
but like
please don't talk about my Lord and Savior Hideo Kojima like that.
maybe I take back the shut up, but. That's
Thank you.
disrespectful.
Thank you.
I disrespect, and that was a general shut up, not to you.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, baby. I'm all in.
I'm just like, you know what? I'm
thing,
in.
though-
It was a cool Unreal Engine demo.
That it was a game.
cool
By
demo.
the way, the tagline: a game for all players and screamers. So I mean, that's gold right there. It has
What was it? What was that? I'm sorry. What was
a
that?
game for all players and screamers. That is the tagline of OD. So you take that for what you will.
Okay. all right.
One thing that actually I kind of thought was neat
That's crazy.
is that in the cast of this game it has Hunter Schafer in it, who has been linked to playing Zelda in the Zelda movie. So maybe, I don't know.
Hunter
cool.
Schafer.
She's in Euphoria, which I've never seen, but a lot of people like.
Oh, I know this lady.
They asked her like if she would want to play Princess Zelda. She was like, "Of course I would." Like, hell yeah. And I don't know. She's just been linked to that role since they announced that movie. So I thought that was neat because I've never really seen her in a whole lot. Although I hear Euphoria is very good, but I've never watched it. But yeah, so that was OD. I was excited about that. That was my highlight.
I'm excited for you. I hope that it turns out dope because I
Actually-
like older Kojima games and older Peel stuff.
I have to take that back because there was one other highlight that was even more outrageous, and that's when that like band got on stage. They were playing like the Alan Wake 2 song, and the brother with the eye patch was there, and he was rocking on his guitar, and he just like it's like the most bonkers thing I'd ever seen. I had no idea what it was, no context. I had just come back down from like eating dinner, and all of a sudden this like dude with his eye patch is playing guitar, and like there's all these people singing, and I was like, is the Game Awards awesome this year? I'm not sure. I can't tell because we've had Kojima coming out of a door, eye patch guy rocking on his guitar, but then after that it kind of got back to being the Game Awards. So that was pretty cool.
Wasn't that at the end? Or was that the beginning?
Yeah, that was towards the end.
I want to say that was like
That was
I want to say in like the top of the final third. I want to say.
I think
Yeah,
you're
like
right.
that
Yeah.
was-
So I
Wasn't
came
that-
an
that
hour
was left
late.
after that.
I watched Kojima, a few trailers. I went and had some dinner. I came back. I watched Eye Patch Guy, and then I watched the rest of it. So that was a good time.
And as we're happy about, or at least we expected, Baldur's Gate sweep.
Yeah,
Well, it didn't sweep, but it won Game of the Year. So
I would have put
And
50
best
bucks
I was
down
sur-
on that.
I was surprised that Alan Wake 2 still managed to take away best game direction, because usually Game of the Year is the same one that wins game direction, and Alan Wake 2 is my sleeper pick. So when that won game direction, I was like, hold up,
Yep.
do we might have an upset going? But no, it was still Baldur's Gate 3 like we all expected.
Yep, expected that. And I was, as you mentioned, happy to see Sea of Stars won Best Indie Game, which I still have to finish, but I'm pretty much at the end and am enjoying that a lot. So yeah, shout outs to them. Great stuff.
Yeah, so we were pretty into the awards on the Zelda Dungeon side. Of course, Tears of the Kingdom was nominated, but I really don't think it deserved to win Game of the Year. And I like Tears of the Kingdom a lot, but I mean, it's more or less the same game as Breath of the Wild was 6 years later. So I wasn't happy Baldur's Gate 3 won. Like, I was indifferent, but I was like, I think it deserves to win. I haven't played it, but from everything I've heard, Allison has been playing a lot of it and says that it's incredible. So that was definitely one that I think was deserved. A few others that I wanted to talk about. Actually, what I wanted to talk about, you mentioned Fortnite earlier. Best ongoing game. I was like, how does like Fortnite not win this award? Like, it seems like that should be like going to
What
Fortnite
won?
every year. Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm like, This game released broken and unplayable, and now has finally patched itself up to a level that it should be when it releases, and it wins an award for best ongoing game for DLC, not even like a live service. I don't get it.
That's gaming, baby.
I guess
That's a good hustle right there. Have everyone spend money on unfinished game, fix the game, get awarded for it. Come on, that's a good hustle right there.
You know, I actually have to say I do want to buy Cyberpunk because I was going to get it day one, and then I heard how awful
It looks
was.
good now.
It does.
It
look
looks
good.
good, but now I know GTA is coming out in about 2 years, so I'm just gonna wait.
Back when it was busted, Best Buy was selling it for $5 physical, so I managed to snag a copy of that, and I haven't played it yet. But yeah, I did a little early investment, so I'll get around to it eventually.
Okay.
By the way, speaking of GTA, that trailer dropped, I think, the last time since we had a show, maybe, or at least since I've been on the show. And even though I was talking about being apathetic about all CG trailers, man, that is gonna be fire. I cannot wait for GTA 6. I was in it. That looks awesome.
It might be my first GTA game. I might.
How have you never played GTA before?
I don't know.
Crazy.
To be honest, I'm not sure. My brother owned Vice City and San Andreas, and I don't know. I never played them.
Well, they are fantastic. You should definitely play them.
There's
every childhood coming of age story in the mid 2000s is playing a GTA game way earlier than you should ever be allowed to.
Let me tell you, brother, mine was playing Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes, and like creeping on Sniper Wolf. I think that was anyways. So one more award I want to talk about is the Best Sim Strategy Award. Don't have much to say. I was just really happy that Pikmin 4 won something because that game is awesome, and I think it was the best game that Nintendo released on the Switch last year. So shout out to
I'll be playing that. I will be playing that after Mario RPG before the year ends, and before we do our Omega Metroid Game of the Year rankings for Patreon.
Well, my game of the year is just Sea of Stars. That's
my game of the year is Fortnite Battle Pass Peter Griffin Pickle Rick Akuma.
And
Peter!
Doom's game of the year is Haiku the Robot, I guess. I don't know about that.
No, it's not.
I saw you tweet that.
It can't. No, okay, hold up. So we were doing Game of the Years for every year, and for 2022, I put Haiku the Robot. But then on my second post, I put, hey, by the way, guys, the only games I played from 2022 is Haiku, which I just beat like a couple weeks ago, and the Pac-Man World Remake. So do not take my 2022 ranking seriously. There's still a lot of games I have to go through to get a real ranking there.
What's the statute of limitations on changing your game of the year, do you think, Dak?
I don't know, man. That's a weird way to put that, but I'm gonna say probably like 2 years. I think if you're changing your game, I don't know, 5 years.
Okay,
he's got 5 years.
We'll allow it.
All right. All right.
Yeah, I don't. Any final thoughts on the Game Awards before we move on and tackle a few Omega questions from our Omega Metroid question queue?
There were rumors that Arcane was going to announce Dishonored 3. I don't care that much for the Dishonored series, so I was very pleasantly surprised that we got a Blade announcement instead, which I think is way more exciting. So can't wait to see what they do with that.
I thought you meant the show.
I thought it was supposed to be a show, like, announcement.
The show was awesome, actually, I have to say.
That
unironically, I hate League of Legends, but the show was fantastic.
Didn't you just post about how you're like, I don't understand how someone could have fun playing League of Legends?
Yes, I did just post that. Yes.
You can have fun playing League of Legends as someone who's also a League hater. That is possible if you try hard enough. But is it worth it? Yes. And no. Yeah, that's all I got for that.
I don't know anything about League of Legends, but that show was awesome. One final thing. I do think that I want to acknowledge The Last of Us winning Best Adaptation because I was pretty skeptical, actually, when that show was announced. Because I was like, The Last of Us is as close to a movie as a video game can probably get, and they're adapting the same story. Why the hell are they doing this? And I think that there could be like a sliver of that that's still true, but I watched Last of Us. I thought that it was incredible. So it was a really, really fantastic show. Deserved to win. Although I did just finish Castlevania Nocturne, and that show is also wicked. So yeah, that's my final thoughts on the Game Awards.
That was really cool. Last of Us kind of feels like, and maybe just because of like the platform it's on, but it kind of feels like prestige TV in a way. Like it kind of has that kind of air to it. So it's cool that a video game IP
Yeah.
kind of has that feel. It sucks that we're not getting a new season until 2025, though. I hate the long
Yeah.
wait, but obviously we just had, huge strike and it takes a
Yeah.
long time to develop these things. It
Mhm.
probably would have been a 2024 thing had that not happened. So, but yeah, really excited about that. I honestly think it's going to keep opening up doors for more IPs to get like high class, like quality, like
Agreed.
source material treatment where like it's treated properly. And like obviously like the Sonic movies have been helping with that. The Mario movie, which isn't, I mean, not that it needs to be one-to-one to the source material, but I think it does the game's justice pretty well. So it's nice to be in that kind of era now where it seems like games are being treated, as a serious source material for, an IP for like a big budget movie or TV show. So I hope we get more of that, and I am also excited for the next season because I thought the first season of Last of Us was really good as well.
Yep, couldn't have said it better. And I think I told you guys, but that season has a special place for me because it was filmed in my home, and like you guys are from New York and California, you're used to seeing that, but I'm not really used to seeing that, so it's kind of cool for me watching it, being like, wow, there's whatever. So yeah, really excited.
There's
about
that moose that I walked by.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the pack of beavers that I walk by in the snow to get to work.
Oh, it's that Tim Hortons. Let's go.
Yeah. Well,
Are there any Tim Hortons in Last of Us? Do they show up? Are there
I
any
don't think
abandoned Tim
there are,
Hortons?
but there is. You can see very clearly the Palace movie theater that I've been known to go to every now and then. It's a regular movie theater, by the way. I realize I said that kind of creepy. It's just a legit movie theater. That's in there.
Not doing yourself a lot of favors on this episode.
I know,
man,
dude.
really,
Throw me a
We need-
lifeline
we need,
here.
like,
Where's
our-
those questions?
We need like our own Omega Metroid out of context account to just go nuts on these episodes, man.
No, we don't need that. By the way, you mentioned movies. Before we go to our last segment here, just really quick, I saw The Abyss in 4K, the re-release in theaters last
Ooh.
week, which
Yeah?
I had never seen The Abyss ever, and I really
Really?
enjoyed it. Yes,
It's
I
been
really
a long
enjoyed it,
time for me, actually.
except that ending. I don't know what was going on with that. Not great, but everything else awesome, and you could clearly see like how it influences his later work and was influenced by some of his other stuff he was doing around the same time in the 80s. But anyway, I saw that was really good. I saw Napoleon before that, and then I'm excited to see the Iron Claw next week, which is about the Von Erich wrestling family. So I just want to bring that up because
That looks awesome. I'm gonna go see the
brought
new
up movie
Godzilla
theater.
movie, like
Yes.
-1. I've heard it's wicked.
I want to see that so bad.
Yeah.
All right.
I've been on a kind of a John Carpenter kick. I was watching Escape from New York and Big Trouble in Little China. Good time. All right, so we had some. If you, listener, are a member of our Omega Metroid Discord, which please, I invite you to come and hang out with us and talk Metroid with us and video games and all this kind of stuff. We have a channel dedicated for questions, and that channel's been filling up lately with just a few questions from some listeners just asking general Metroid stuff that they want our opinions on. So we are here to deliver those questions. So Dak, I think you've got the list. So maybe I'll pass it over to you, brother.
Yeah, so some context. Yeah, we have the channel hashtag Q&A questions on the Discord server. That's where everyone puts a majority of their questions for our usual Q&A questions if they don't post it on X or Twitter. But since our last Q&A episode, a few of you have been just dropping a few questions in there to be answered at any time. So since we were looking for kind of a third segment to round out this episode, I figured why not grab those handful of questions that have been lingering in the channel, waiting for our next Q&A episode to happen. And instead of just doing a whole full Q&A episode, we're just going to tackle these and then we'll ask outright for more questions for the next episode. So we had a few questions. Want to jump into those? We're going to skip a couple because obviously there are a few that were kind of, one was asking, do you think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be at the Game Awards? And we're not going to dedicate time to those kinds of questions for obvious reasons, but there were a few that were pretty good. So the answer is no to that one. But there were some other ones that looked pretty fun. So we're going to answer them. So thanks for submitting. And then when we do a proper Q&A questionnaire kind of episode, we'll let you know. But I guess in the meantime, if you want to drop questions until then, we'll be taking, I guess, questions for the next episode starting today as of 12/11. So anything submitted since then will be added into the submission. So there you go. All right, let's jump right into this. Okay. We got a few here. This one's gameplay related. This is from Steph121, who writes, what do you think about this gameplay idea? When Samus loses all of her energy, she doesn't die, but instead her power suit goes offline. Samus continues in her Zero suit and has to reach a safe station, for example, to get it back. So in like Zero Mission, for example, she dies very quickly and only has a tranquilizer gun. Maybe you could add some stealth where Samus maybe even has to turn it off intentionally and use the Zero Suit. Would it be weird to have the Zero Suit only as a tool where you take too much damage and maybe add some more utility, or maybe even as an option to use it intentionally? Could be cool in 2D or 3D. What are your thoughts?
Weirdly enough, this kind of reminds me of Super Ghouls and Ghosts or Ghosts and Goblins, if anyone's played that game, where you're playing as Arthur, but then once the armor is damaged, he's literally like in his boxes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of that. I don't, at face value, I'm not really a fan of this idea. Maybe if there was, maybe there's a scenario where I could see this pitched and I could see it worked, but like at its face value, I don't. That doesn't really scream Metroid to me. That seems like something. It seems like something different.
I'm a little bit of, not the opposite of you, Doom, but like, I think it has potential, just not in the way that maybe the user suggested it. I think that there's a lot of potential for, probably specifically a 2D Metroid game, where you can unequip your power suit and go into Zero Suit at will. Like, you can just do it at any time that you want. And you could base, like, a lot of different puzzles off that, like which form you need to be in. So I think that there's potential for that. I don't know. The only thing I'm not really in love with is like the idea that when you die, you get put into your Zero Suit, because I think like, well, for my question is like, I feel like a game needs to have consequences to it, or else, it's not. I don't feel like it's that engaging. So I would maybe see if there was another way that we could do that, and then. Yeah, actually, that's really my only hang up there, is just to maybe tweak how and why you go into Zero Suit. But I do think that there's potential for a cool Metroid game where you can freely switch between the two.
Okay. I'm actually going at it from complete opposite side. I do not like the idea of like the option to turn, or like you would need to turn off your power suit to go into Zero Suit mode intentionally. There should be never a situation in which Samus would want to be in her Zero Suit only. The power suit should always be a better option, unless because she could even go to her morph ball. There really should be no situation in which she should be going into her Zero Suit intentionally in a combat or like adventure situation. So I'm not a big fan of that idea. But I actually do like the idea of like when her health gets depleted, instead of dying, she gets like 1 or 2 hits, like a dread mode situation, on her Zero Suit before she goes down. It reminds me more of actually, well, obviously the example you made, Doom, was great, but also reminds me of Overwatch. You play Diva, she's in her mech, and if she gets put down to 0 or uses her special, I believe I know it's if when she uses her ultimate, she goes into Diva mode, but I'm pretty sure it's also when she also gets knocked to 0 health. It's been a little bit since I played Overwatch. And she gets ejected into her regular, like, just Diva, mini Diva, just outside of the suit, and then she either dies or she gets, back into her suit. I kind of like that idea. I think it would be fun.
Or even maybe a little different, but even maybe like a Titanfall. If your Titan gets destroyed, you eject out of the pilot seat and you're back to pilot mode.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I would think, is like you go down to like 0 HP. Instead of dying immediately, you get ejected or whatever. Like your power suit dies, you go into Zero Suit mode, and then you have like 1 HP or like no hits, and you would die essentially on your next hit, but you have like a moment to try to save the situation and get out of there and regenerate your suit and survive. I think that would make for a really fun gameplay moment. That I'm actually really down for, but not down for like an intentional, like, oh, in this section I'm going to turn off my Zero Suit to be sneaky. No, I should just, that I do not like. I think that feels very anti-Metroid to me.
I do agree with you in the sense that like you'd have to position the story to justify why you would ever want to not be in your power suit, because you're right, like you shouldn't want to not be at full power capacity. I think maybe I'm just spitballing something, but let's just say Metroid 6 has that option. Maybe there are some areas where like if you have Metroid DNA, you are instantly, I don't know, eradicated, or I guess that actually doesn't work because it's let's just say that
still have the DNA.
Yeah,
it's not on. Yeah,
but like I don't know. Maybe there's only the Metroid DNA that shows up in the Metroid suit or something like that, and maybe in that case you take it off. I mean,
that's
obviously
when you start
that's
to
reaching.
Get so contrived to even make it make sense that I'm like, oh, please don't do that. Yeah, I just like. It's the I'm playing Metroid. I want to be in the suit. It's Zero Mission. It made sense. She couldn't get into the suit and had to get it back. It wasn't like she was like, well, I got to infiltrate the space pirate mothership. I'm going to take the suit off because it'll make it easier for me to sneak around. Silly. So,
like, and I know a lot of people don't love the Zero Mission part, but like I really do actually. So I would like to see it come back. But like, how do you get there? That I'm not sure. People smarter than me will need to come up with
I'm
that.
down for more stealth, but I think you can do the stealth while keeping Samus in her power suit. And then
Yeah.
separately, I like the idea of being ejected from the suit and getting a chance to save yourself and not die, while still in zero suit mode. But those are separate things. But I
Right.
can't. But I like. There's some potential in this idea, so I like it. So good stuff, Steph.
Yeah.
121. Okay, I think we kind of answered this, but I want to answer it again on the show real quick. But we did answer it kind of in the chat. Papa Rick, Omega Metroid percentage. What are the odds that the Omega Metroid podcast gets a mini shout out or reference in Metroid Prime 4? I'm not going to give us a lot of the time to toot our own horn here, but what's our percentages? Because for me, it's a 0.0001%, but it would be hilarious.
You know,
It would
I
be
never like to
hilarious.
give zeros, and I never like to give hundreds. What was yours? 0.0001?
It's if anything, it's gonna
Hey,
be
listen,
it's gonna be a scan that says
Let's go.
Federation Trooper listening to mediocre radio show. That's gonna be.
I was gonna say, let's go
Hey, listen.
0.000001. How about that?
Guys, you guys are really undershooting this. Samus Returns gives at least 4 or 5 references to this podcast. I mean,
Yeah,
Anyways.
that's the thing is our references would be obscured by references to actual Omega Metroid, so we would need like a more specific reference for us to really know.
Yes.
And so, but maybe that's how they do it. They hide it underneath. It's not gonna happen. But
Maybe there'll be a few
Funny
creatures.
question.
Like there's a creature named Spiteri, one named Dak, one named Doom. I don't know.
hmm
Odds aren't good though. I'll tell you that.
that would be funny though. I would pop off if
dude,
we
I have a
saw-
whole series referencing me. It's wild.
Well, there would be like if there was like you know how in Prime 3 when you're working with the Federation troopers you could see their names like their call signs like on your screen, like and maybe they throw us in as trooper Federation Marines on a squad and throw our names in there as first initial last name.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I'm
mean-
gonna have to talk to my uncle at Nintendo about this.
There's a
Get it moving.
Lasky in Halo. They're my great grandson is in Halo 4 and 5. So who knows? Maybe I'm in Metroid as well.
You must be
I'd
very
be excited. I am excited about that. It's a shame that he's not in any of the good games, but whatever. All right.
Can't win them all.
Can't win them all. But he is one of the better parts of those games, so we'll say that. Big Griff with a couple questions here. Actually, all the remaining questions. So I will pick and choose a couple of them. Thank you so much for sharing them. I like this one, though. Metroid games like Prime 1 and Dread are able to show plenty of emotion from Samus by just using her body language and showing her eyes through her visor. If a Metroid movie happens, will the movie do something like this? Or will it use like an Iron Man style of showing Samus's face inside of her helmet? For example, the fan film Metroid the Sky Calls does something like this multiple times. I haven't seen that. Has anyone seen Metroid the Sky Calls? I'm assuming that's
No.
a fan
I have.
short.
It's been a while, but I did watch it a couple times back when that came out.
Oh, then I might have
I
seen it, but I don't
personally-
remember, but go ahead.
The Iron Man HUD in the Iron Man films is really cool. I like it. I do not want that in Metroid at all. I don't. I think actually when I think of like really good framing, I look at like, that first season of The Mandalorian or even like those early Halo games where they're able to like show what Chief is thinking without showing his face. And I feel like that for Samus is so much more powerful than like having every single. And that's not to say that you can't see her face. I think Dread has some good moments where you can like see through her visor, even Prime 3 where you can see like very subtle hints of like, furrowed eyebrows and stuff like that. But I think for the most part, like I think it's really powerful to just see the suit itself in action and to have that body language be interpreted as it is.
To be fair, we're talking about a movie, though. We're not talking about a game. So that, yeah.
I concur again. Mandalorian.
I feel like this. I feel like you're probably gonna get some shots like Iron Man of a Metroid movie if it happens. I could see that. I think you're probably going to be surprised how much time Samus just spends with her helmet off in a movie. I think, we've all seen, Spider-Man or whatever, where, 20 minutes into the movie, Tobey Maguire has ripped his mask off and, he's running around maskless and whatever and all kind of beat up. I would imagine that the same thing is incoming for a Metroid movie. And I think they probably I think it's gonna be a mix of all of that. It's gonna be a mix of what I just described, those HUD shots, and I think they probably will do some close-ups of Samus's face so you can see her eyes and stuff too.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually just do it so that you can see her face through the visor at all times. and not just through close-ups. I could definitely see that. I would imagine we are going to get those Iron Man style shots of like in the visor, which it works really well for Iron Man because he's like communicating with his team and the AI and he's looking around, all that kind of stuff. But I actually think it also works well. It could work well for Metroid because it's a very claustrophobic close up, which works really well tonally for Metroid. So it all comes down to execution. Like I think how Iron Man does it for the most part, it's not flawless, but for the most part, I think would be totally fine for a Metroid movie for sure. But I think in general, what we'd most likely see a lot of is yes, both her helmet off, and then we're gonna get because if you're a big big budget actress and they're paying big money for an actress in a big movie, they're not gonna put a helmet over her face the whole time. They're gonna make sure you can see it, and that's totally understandable. So I think we're gonna be able to see it. Or they're going to just lean into the cool factor and have Samus going around doing her thing with her helmet off, which doesn't make sense and makes it super dangerous, but looks really badass, looks cool, and I'm totally down for that. And like it's not like Halo where like there's a mystique of like I know what Samus's face looks like, so I'm okay with her helmet being off. Like it doesn't make sense. She could easily get sniped in the head, but like she's cool, she's awesome. Like that's totally fine. But I would imagine we're gonna see Iron Man style stuff, full like facial like display through a visor, and then also her helmet off entirely.
I would hope that a Metroid movie doesn't veer into the Halo TV show category. That would not be optimal to say the least.
Oh man, I could do a whole. And if you have any podcasts coming up about talking about the Halo show, I could do I feel like I could do like a 10-hour 10-hour review.
We haven't got around to that yet on Virtual Theater, mostly because of how dreadful we've heard the Halo show is. It's on the list. But
I stopped watching after the second episode. It was that bad.
Yeah.
It was really not. It was, and I hate to be a hater, especially on this show, but I feel like I've been a hater on this show already. But man,
I'm a fan of the guy that plays Master Chief too. He was great in American Gods. He actually kind of looks like you, Doom, a little bit.
When my beard is fully grown out,
he looks like you a little bit. Yeah,
the Halo guy.
Yeah, well, at least he did in American Gods.
Pablo Schreiber.
Is that no? I thought it was. Is he Master Chief?
Yeah.
Oh,
are you talking about Joseph Morgan?
No, I'm sorry. I thought it was another guy that was playing Master Chief. Maybe I have my actors mixed up.
I was like, he does not look like. No offense to him. He does. You guys don't look very. You look a great looking guy, but I don't think you look very.
Oh, well, I'm flattered. Thank you.
I don't think you look similar to him. But maybe I don't know. Maybe it's the angle. I don't. But yeah, I think honestly, I don't think any of the casting in the Halo show is bad. It's the writing. But I digress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was a good question. I do think we'll see the Iron Man face. Yes. Okay, here's another one. We have two more, and then we'll wrap it up. Samus is seen as a symbol of hope throughout the galaxy due to how everyone looks up to her, even Federation Marines, as we've seen in Prime 3. Could you see a situation where Samus is put into a position of leadership? I can think of one example from one of the Metroid manga where a squad of Federation Marines loses most of their forces and Samus acts as a de facto leader. What do you think all about? I'm assuming like he means beyond like Samus is
like
leading
the leader
a group
of the Galactic
troops.
Federation or whatever.
Yeah, I could I think he means more of like a legitimate position of power that maybe has a title or something like that, and not necessarily like she's leading like a squad. I mean, honestly, I could see any of that though. To be really honest, I think I could absolutely see her leading like a team, like her own unit of something, even though she's kind of more of a lone wolf or whatever. But she clearly works fine in teams, whatever to get the job done. To be honest,
right.
But I actually think it would be kind of interesting to see her, maybe like an older Samus holding a higher in the Galactic Federation kind of position, and maybe like a juxtaposition of her like her doing her office like government job and then her doing her bounty stunter stuff on the side, or still being a formidable warrior even at an older age and holding like a position in the Federation. Like I think that'd be really interesting. I do think that's possible. I would be interested in it. I think you could do a lot with that, but it makes a lot of sense because Samus is obviously held in high regard. I think it really just comes down to what her standing is with the Federation following Dread, most likely, because we really don't know where that is. But I could definitely see that at many different scales for sure. What do you guys think, Doom? What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually feel like this would be a good opportunity because we've all pitched like, how we would redo Federation Force. And like I think this is a good example where I'm not sure if I would want to play as Samus in a leadership role because I feel like that isolation is still a big part of
Yeah.
those mainline Metroid games. But I feel like this would be a good opportunity for like a spin-off title where Samus is like your commanding officer, or maybe not necessarily that specific title, but the leader of a specific group. And like I could totally see that working out and being integrated into the gameplay.
It would even make a lot of sense, before I throw it to you, Andy, if there is ever a time where we kind of see a passing of the torch to a new protagonist, where maybe Samus is the new protagonist's commanding officer and giving her kind of orders and direction, much like Adam did for Samus. So I could definitely see that. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much nailed it all. I don't have a whole lot to add. Specifically, what you just said actually was kind of what I was thinking. Where like, I would enjoy that, but I think I'd enjoy kind of like what you were saying, Doom too. Like I want a little bit more of regular Samus, but like I could see, we've talked about should Metroid introduce a new protagonist and like, do the old man Logan story maybe one day for Samus. That I think could be kind of a cool idea where like maybe
Yeah.
Samus is your new Adam and you're playing as a new character and Samus is now kind of like the leader of maybe a Galactic Federation that she had to tear down and rebuild kind of thing. So yeah, I think that has potential. I wouldn't, I don't know if I'm like dying for it like right away, but I mean, one day maybe why not? If anything, that actually kind of sounds like a neat idea for maybe like a movie or a show or something that
Or
can
a
kind of
book.
yeah, like a book.
I was like, make
Yeah.
this a book, man. Like that would be great. I'm down to read some Metroid books.
Something on the peripheral like of the regular mainline Metroid. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Or maybe even like a spin-off, like RTS or something, and Samus is the person controlling all the units. I don't know. Could be
Yeah.
fun. Could be. All right, another and one
All
more.
units.
That'd be. I'm down for more RTS. Give me that. I've been on a lot of Age of Empires lately, as I
All
mentioned.
right. All right.
All right, last question from Big Griff. What do you consider your top 5 Metroid games in terms of difficulty? Like in order
Ooh.
from most to least difficult. But we can do it in maybe in backwards order. Least to most difficult instead of most to least. So like, what's your 5? What's your 4? What's your 3? What's your 2? What's your 1?
Okay, I feel like I have to start off with my most difficult. And can I
Okay,
just
so maybe
can
go
we
back
just
to
say
how he
like
did it.
dread
Most to
mode
least.
doesn't count because like obviously that's difficult.
I think we're talking just base game.
Base game. Okay.
No dread mode. No.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I it's tough because like there's two different types of difficulty in Metroid. There's the difficulty of like the enemies just hit you hard, and then there's the difficulty of like you're lost and you don't know where to go. So when I hear this question, my immediate inference is like the enemies and how hard they hit you. I don't know about you guys, but that's like what I think of when I think of difficulty. Or do you guys think of like I'm lost, I don't know where to go kind of difficulty?
I would say both. Like,
And I'm thinking enemies,
Okay.
primarily enemies.
I think
maybe
enemy
lost to a
difficulty, but yeah.
maybe lost to a degree in terms of like maybe some of those earlier games where you don't have some of those big quality of life improvements.
Right. So I would suggest that I think I'm sorry, I have to go from most difficult down.
Yeah. As you said that, I was like, wait, that how I said it is probably harder. So go ahead, from most to least. Sorry.
I would be tempted to say I think Samus Returns might be the most difficult, but Metroid Dread wouldn't be far behind it. And you could maybe flip flop those if you wanted to. And then I would put Nestroid right behind that. Metroid Prime 2 after that, and then those are the ones that really stick out to me as being like super challenging.
I was agree. I had so much trouble thinking of a number 5. The first 4 are easy, but I feel like 5 is like, what do you put for 5?
I mean, I guess I would probably put down Metroid 2, Return of Samus.
I think our lists are going to be pretty similar here because I was just going through in my head what I would list and I wrote them down. I'm like, there. For me, it's so Metroid NES is at the top. It's just,
Yeah.
I think difficulty wise, it's just
It's tough.
for me, it's either it's energy, it's enemy difficulty, and also just like how much am I fighting the game to actually play it.
Yeah.
I would say NES Troid for sure. Then Dread. I'm also thinking of like my first playthrough playing it as well. Like how difficult was it like going into a blind essentially? So NES Troid, Dread, Prime 2, Samus Returns and then Return of Samus. I think it's probably my list, but that's also like kind of off the top of my head, like not really holding a gun to me, any kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think
NES Droid definitely my number one for sure. Number two, I'm probably going to do Samus Returns just because, at least when I'm not on Citro and I'm playing natively on the 3DS, and this is a me problem, I just find the 3DS console in general just really uncomfortable to hold in my hands. So it's a little harder for me to play through that game.
It's a little clunky.
Number three would probably be somewhere between number 3 or 4 could be a toss up between Dread and Prime 2, and then number 5 would probably be Metroid 2.
Like I almost felt like kind of a heel saying it, but I have a tough time playing Hunters for that same reason.
I knew you were gonna say that. I was like, Hunters is maybe for the same reason up here.
Like it's not that it's a hard game. It's just like I'm not intuitive with those controls, so it's hard for me. But I don't think that it's harder than any of those other games. And I mean, like really beyond that, like I think that if this was strictly in terms of getting lost, I think Super Metroid would be up there for sure. I think definitely Return of Samus would be in there. But, like, I don't know. I feel like you kind of look around and you're like, I don't think Metroid Prime is that challenging. I don't think, like, Fusion Zero Mission is a cakewalk. You know, AM2R is not very difficult. Federation Force isn't really that difficult. Like, the Metroid games aren't, like, super, super difficult, really.
At least on base, like, line, no, not entirely. But,
yeah. So that's, there it is.
Good questions, and that was the last one. So,
all right,
I want to thank everyone for participating in our impromptu mini Q&A that we just farmed the questions that were sitting in the channel for. So, thanks very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, if you're not a member of our Discord, you should consider joining. We do these question episodes all the time. You ask questions, we give answers. I love these episodes because I mean, you guys do all the work for us. It's amazing. And we get like a whole different bunch of little mini topics to go over as well, which might not necessarily fill a whole show, but you know, give us an opportunity to talk about topics like this. So it's great stuff. All right, well that's it. We're gonna get out of here. But of course, before we do, we got to plug some stuff here. First and foremost, we should start off with OmegaMetroid.com. You can check it out for all of your Metroid needs. Speaking of the hardest Metroid games, if you're lost, if you need strategies, if you need anything, check out OmegaMetroid.com. We've got all of that stuff over there. And also, check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Like, subscribe, recommend, rate, review. I actually, at work the other day, I had 3 people subscribe to Omega Metroid because I was plugging it all day. And so we got some new followers. And they asked me the classic question, like, how do you do a weekly Metroid show? And I was like, I don't know. We just do it. Yeah.
With three hosts.
That's
so
right.
Some of us can take a break.
That's right. So yeah, check us out wherever you get your podcasts, like and subscribe. We got a Patreon if you are interested in taking your love of Omega Metroid to the next level. We got a great show called the Great Metroid Area Ranking, which has been going on for a couple months now. As the name suggests, we are ranking every single area in the Metroid series, and I think we're about a third of the way in now. So I'm gonna get you guys back on the show soon for some of the heavy hitter areas that are coming up. So I'm excited.
Have I even been on the show?
No, I was saving you for a couple areas specifically.
I was gonna say I don't think I've been on yet. I'm down.
Yeah. But those areas I was saving you for, they might be a little bit too far away. So I might just
virtual theater. When are we doing that? I love to watch bad movies.
I can't tell you when we're doing the Halo movie, but you know, well,
and I'm down for something else. I love
TV
to watch
show.
Something. Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything. Let me know.
What about a live commentary of the Super Mario Bros. Movie from 1993?
I'm down. I'm totally down to do a riff track for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
I would love to. That would be fantastic.
Hell yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to make that happen then, because
if we can do that, then I would recommend them. We maybe sometime down the line do a Neil Breen movie.
Okay.
But he doesn't do gaming.
Ooh,
stuff.
I'm absolutely down for some Neil Breen.
special Neil Breen episode, even though it's not gaming related, I ask for as a Christmas miracle. But I'm down for a live Super Mario Brothers. Yeah.
Ooh, we're cooking now. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. Check us out on social media at Omega Metroid Pod, at Spiteri316, at DaxCity_, at Doominal Cross, wherever you are on social media. Those are our handles all over the place, so make sure that you're following. We hope that you guys have a fantastic week. And of course, we'll see you back here next week. Same Metroid time, same Metroid channel. Until then, everybody, take care.